Hello and welcome to Newsfeed, your daily dose of what people are talking about online, from news stories to what's trending. Now, Russian missiles have targeted a dam in Volodymyr Zelensky's hometown of Kryvyi Rih. Residents have been forced to evacuate due to the flooding caused by the strike. Experts say the attack likely intended to damage temporary bridges downstream to disrupt Ukraine's counterattack. DEFMON tweeted these images saying there are clear signs of explosions, and this is the result of the Russian attack. They have no regard for the safety of civilians. Inna Sovsun is a member of Ukraine's parliament. Her tweet shows flooding after a water pumping station was destroyed. A nearby river broke its banks and water levels are just a few meters away from residential buildings. Yaroslav Trofimov quotes Ukrainian officials saying 8 Russian cruise missiles hit the hydrotechnic installation, likely a dam, in the city of 700,000 people. And in another tweet, he shows a picture from World War II when Stalin's Russia blew up a Ukrainian dam, which flooded cities and towns, killing thousands. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian counteroffensive continues on 2 fronts as troops have flipped the battlefield dynamic in the Donbas region, and in the northeast, they've retaken swathes of land around the city of Kharkiv. My colleague Rahul Radhakrishnan is on his way to one of the liberated towns, Balaklia.
We've just entered the now liberated town of Balaklia in northeast Ukraine. Now, this particular town was liberated by the Ukrainian armed forces just about a week ago. Until then, since the beginning of the war, it was occupied by Russian troops. Now, around me, we see just damage in the road over here. We saw a number of destroyed civilian vehicles, as well as tanks and other military vehicles. I'm looking at several damaged buildings on our way in, and this is the first town that the Ukrainians had liberated, and now, almost a week into their offensive, their counteroffensive, they have now liberated about 8,000 square kilometers of land. We are here to document some of the stories, to speak to civilians about what life was like under the occupations. As we're driving past them, seeing the letter Z, which is a symbol that the Russian occupying forces had used in order to mark their territory. Some of these are painted over with Ukrainian flags. We have heard some unconfirmed reports of mass atrocities, mass graves, similar to the ones that we've seen earlier on in this war in Bucha. We are trying to find out a little bit more about what life was like under these occupied territories. A lot of the civilians so far who remained in this area welcomed the Ukrainian forces with open arms.
And here are some heartwarming pictures from Ukraine that we just had to show you. They were posted on Facebook and appear to show the mayor of Kozacha Lopan in the Kharkiv region being reunited with his mom. The town had recently been retaken from Russian occupying forces. Chinese President Xi Jinping has left his country for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic started. He's in the Uzbek city of Samarkand for the annual Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. There, he's meeting Russian President Vladimir Putin. High on the agenda is Ukraine and Taiwan. It's believed the countries are looking to deepen their so-called no-limits partnership and counter the West's economic sanctions. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is also there, as well as leaders from India, Pakistan, and Iran. Our Hassan Abdullah reports on the summit.
Well, let's start with the significance of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It's the largest regional organization of its kind. It represents around 40% of the world's population, around 30% of the global GDP. It started off in 2001 with a focus on security, but later on it incorporated economic development as well. Now, the timing of the summit is particularly significant considering some of the developments that we're witnessing at the moment. For example, the Russia-Ukraine war, and Russia is one of the members of the SCO. Also, there have been tensions between India and China. Again, both countries are members of the SCO. Also, we have the leaders of Azerbaijan and Armenia participating. Again, tensions currently exist between both countries. The leader of Sri Lanka is going to be participating. Again, Sri Lanka is one of the countries facing political and economic crisis. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is here. Turkey is a dialogue partner of the SCO. The Turkish position is that it's important to bring about some structural changes to the international system to make the world a more fair place. Here's a look at the Turkish position in some detail.
Turkey looks forward to working closely with friendly member states to advance cooperation on transportation, energy, trade, technology, combating climate change, ensuring food and environmental security.
Can you believe it's been over 2 years since the coronavirus pandemic began? And now there's some good news, maybe. The World Health Organization says the end of the pandemic is in sight. Weekly deaths are at their lowest since March 2020. The WHO says vaccines have played a crucial role in preventing almost 20 million people from dying from COVID-19 in the last year alone.
We have never been in a better position to end the pandemic. We're not there yet, but the end is in sight.
But not everyone agrees with the WHO boss. Some physicians, like American cardiologist Dr. Eric Topol, say that the global deaths from the virus are currently 34% higher than they were in June. He also says that the evolutionary cycle of the disease is still ongoing. And Harvard epidemiologist Dr. Michael Mina says that the virus will not be over, even if the virus leaves pandemic status. He says we still need to focus on preventing and treating it.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Mac here, and I'm standing outside the legendary Selhurst Park, home of Crystal Palace Football Club. A great place to go out and spend a day watching football with the family. However, we want to do so sensibly and safely, and that means we need to go and get vaccinated. A number of you have come forward and said you have a little bit of concern with the safety of the vaccine, but let me reassure you that the vaccines have gone through the clinical trials on all 3 phases needed to deem themselves safe and been tested on thousands of people around the world. One of the reasons we were able to develop them so quickly is because they didn't have the financial constraints that some of the vaccines had, because we had a severe demand all over the world because of COVID-19. So please go out and get vaccinated, keep Croydon safe, and go and enjoy a day out at Selhurst Park to watch the football.
Okay, let's go to the UK, where hundreds and thousands of mourners have queued for kilometers in London to pay their last respects to the late Queen Elizabeth. Britain's longest reigning monarch has been lying in state since Wednesday after her death last week. British media are reporting the wait time for people to pay their respects is more than 8 hours. Police and volunteers are managing the queues and also placing water fountains and toilets along the route. But it's this moment we're about to show you that's got people talking most online. Ouch, that sounded painful. As you saw, one of the royal guards collapsed at Westminster Hall. The Queen's body is lying in state there. Soldiers in ceremonial uniform have been maintaining a constant 24-hour vigil around the coffin. While they've been rotating every 20 minutes, the soldiers stand still for a total of 6 hours per shift. The incident caused the BBC to halt their rolling coverage of the funeral. And the last bit of Queen news from us, the flight carrying her coffin from Edinburgh was the most tracked plane in history. That's according to the website flightradar24.com. Around 6 million people tried to track the plane as it entered London, and that amount of people caused the website to crash for some users. The previous record was the plane carrying U.S. lawmaker Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan last month. Roger Federer, one of the greatest tennis players of all time, has announced on Twitter that he will retire at the end of this month. The 20-time Grand Slam champion announced the news in this audio clip.
As many of you know, the past 3 years have presented me with challenges in the form of injuries and surgeries. I've worked hard to return to full competitive form, but I also know my body's capacities and limits, and its message to me lately has been clear. I am 41 years old. I've played more than 1,500 matches over 24 years. Tennis has treated me more generously than I ever would have dreamt, and now I must recognize when it is time to end my competitive career.
Not surprisingly, that audio recording, which actually goes on for over 4.5 minutes, went viral almost immediately. There have been hundreds of comments. Now, Federer fan Ivan Mourning summed up a lot of the replies the Swiss tennis star's account has been getting. Roger, your numbers are ridiculous, but above all, you raised the game to an art truly unique. You cannot leave tennis. Sports journal Georgie Heath thanked Roger for his greatness as a role model on and off the court, while this tennis fan wished for another match between the two giants, Federer and Rafael Nadal. After today's announcement, that's not very likely, though, unfortunately. All right, on to what's trending. Well, crypto nerds, the moment you've been waiting years for has arrived. The merge is finally upon us. Ethereum has switched over to a new operating model that cuts its energy consumption by 99.9%. The merge took just over 12 minutes to complete, and some industry experts say it's the biggest thing for crypto since Bitcoin. Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin celebrated the merge with this tweet moments after the historic transition, calling it a big moment. Others in the industry have also been celebrating.
I didn't know I could love something this much until I laid my eyes on you.
Right, that TikTok doesn't really explain much for the crypto uninitiated, but to put it simply, Ethereum will now be more energy efficient, and not by a little bit. It'll be 99.9% more eco-friendly. Before the merge, ETH used as much energy as a medium-sized country. But imagine the merge as a switch from gasoline to electric. And since the blockchain is massive, it's the world's second biggest, housing a $16 billion ecosystem with exchanges, lending companies, NFT marketplaces, and other apps. The merge's impact is huge. And not only that, marks a new era for greener, more sustainable blockchains and crypto.
The biggest crypto event in history, Ethereum's The Merge, is finally here. Ethereum will now switch from proof of work to proof of stake, making it 99.95% energy efficient. This is amazing, as Ethereum will become faster, cheaper, and more scalable in the future. But I'm warning you right now, in the short term, this looks to be a major buy the rumor, sell the news event. This can cause Ethereum to sell off in the days and weeks ahead, as the hype is now over. This happened when Bitcoin ETF futures launched, but in the long term, Ethereum has a bright future with triple halving and a flippening to come.
They moved from the energy-intensive proof of work, which Bitcoin uses, around to proof of stake. This is going to make Ethereum that much more sustainable moving forward, and for creators and developers. Ethereum today can process 15 to 20 transactions per second, but according to Vitalik, we'll soon be able to process 100,000 transactions per second. But that's not going to happen immediately with the merge. Moving to ETH 2.0 is going to require many more upgrades, and increased scalability should be coming with the next upgrade called the Surge, to then be followed by the Verge, the Purge, and a Splurge.
Yup, the Surge, Verge, Purge, and Splurge. And no, she's not making that up. As this analyst points out, it's part of Ethereum's 5-phase plan that's only 40% complete so far. After the merge, the Surge will increase scalability, the Verge will achieve statelessness, the Purge will eliminate historical data and technical debt, and the last phase is the Surge, which will see some small final upgrades for ETH to finally be at its full potential. All right, so you've heard of Patagonia, right? The outdoor fashion brand is famous for its fleece jackets, clothes that actually keep you warm. So this isn't your typically frou-frou athleisure, and the California brand's founder has shown he's not your typical billionaire boss. He's announced he's giving his company away to charity to help fight the climate crisis.
As a company, Patagonia has always done things a little bit differently. Whether it was when they decided to stop selling their insanely popular vests to finance firms, their famous anti-Black Friday "Don't Buy This Jacket" ad, or when they sued the Trump administration to protect a national park. So that leads us back to today with this statement that Ivan put out explaining why he's giving away his company. First, he says he thought about selling the company and giving all the money away to charity. He would never be able to trust the new owners with being as committed to environmentalism as he is. The same was true if he were to bring the company public, a situation where profits almost always supersede anything else. Instead, all of his voting shares are going into a new trust which is designed specifically to protect the company's values. In short, the next time you buy a pair of Patagonia shorts, you might feel a little bit better knowing that at least a chunk of that money will always be going to keeping the planet clean.
All of the company's profits, some $100 million a year, are going to be used to combat climate change and protect undeveloped land around the globe. P.S. They did this in such a way that they are not only not getting a tax break from it, as some cynics may be quick to think, but they will have to pay $17.5 million in taxes. Seems that they specifically did it that way so that their fund can now make political donations. One more hopeful little fact, the owners of the company considered giving it to their grown children, but the children didn't want the company because they feel that every billionaire is a policy failure. Yes. It's really easy to focus on the bad in this news climate. This is your friendly reminder that there are still really good people like him and his family doing really good things, and we should celebrate that.
And isn't that some nice news to cap off this episode of Newsfeed? Well, find our show on our YouTube channel. Bye and see you same time tomorrow.